Greetings, everybody. Welcome to week 9. Hi, Chef Greg.
Hello. How are you?
I am okay. How's everybody doing? Doing all right?
Doing good.
Good. All right. Winter blues. Keep on pushing through, right? Make sure you're cooking good food, as we should be, and keeping your body and soul warm through that, right? There's actually a lot more connected to food than we think about, which is going to get to our point of topic tonight, which is all about preservation. All right, preservation not only of foods, but of culture, but of technique, tradition, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Things that are passed down from generation to generation is how we're surviving, how we're living here and now, actually. All right. I know you all just came from cuisines of the world. Obviously, at this point, we're about 2 months away from that. However, should still be fresh in your mind. Start thinking about that in preservation, all right, as we really start to talk this topic through tonight. All right, before we get there, questions, comments, experiences that you had with the cauliflower, love, hate, frustrated, what do you got? Anybody?
My fiance killed the cauliflower gratin.
Hey, well done. Well done. All right, so we got a yay for gratin. Never had so much cauliflower in my life. Yeah, you're darn right. All right, did all 4. Awesome. Love it, Allison. Way to go. Yeah, hey, guess what? Cauliflower, by the way, guys, I don't know if you know this. Everything that we eat has nutritional value, right? What vitamins are in cauliflower? What vitamins are in carrots? Why do we eat certain foods during certain times of the year? It's a lot more connected than you think, all right? When you ferment food, preserve food, you're getting vitamins and minerals from another season, right? Because you're saving that for a later time. Maybe some things that wouldn't be present in that season, right? Think about winter. If you live in a colder area, now it's very different when you're living in regions that have a longer growing period and season, et cetera, et cetera. However, there are still seasons that are connected to that, okay? When you strip away everything. Anyways, those vitamins and minerals, prostate cancer, actually. Cauliflower is really good for that. Preventative. So it's not just about what you're eating and how you're preparing it, because remember, how you prepare something also maintains nutritional value. All right? This all is connected to preservation. Nutritional value. Nutritional value. What do we think has the most nutritional value of vegetables? You guys, I'm taking you all the way back to like CU101. And the beginning of this block, if you read the chapter on vegetables. All right? So, freezing, blanching, raw, dried, what other preservations? Pickled. How do we retain nutrients? Does anybody remember? When cooking or applying a technique? So if I want to blanch some green beans, okay, and we know that green beans start off with that like bright green, intense color. And then we put it into hot boiling water. What do we want our end result to be?
Bright and crisp.
Bright and crisp, yeah. What does that do for the nutritional value and the consumption experience?
Lots of nutrients.
Nutrients, yeah, awesome. Way to go. Was that you, Hope? Nice job.
It was.
Yeah, great. And I see some comments over here talking about not overcooking from Marcia. Flash freezing, blanching is best from Patrick. Retaining it from Marcia, retains flavor and nutrients. Yes, all right, great, guys. This is why there's proper techniques and specific techniques to maintain and retain certain nutrients. Okay? So, preservation. Again, start thinking. Now, sounds like everybody had a good time with cauliflower. Chef, anything that you want to talk about or any observations?
There was definitely a lot of good work, a lot of good cauliflower work this week. Just remember the goal for this assignment was just to show how many things that we can do out of one thing. Of course, there's so many more that we can do with cauliflower, but when you put it into a professional sense, we do need to do the same thing with everything. If you get a whole beef tenderloin, we need to use the whole thing. You need to trim off the chain. You need to make other dishes because you're only going to get so many tenderloins. We're only going to get so many florets out of a cauliflower, so many little perfect pieces. A pepper only has the one side all the way around, but it does have a top and a bottom. So it really is about whole product usage. And just remember, when you buy something, you own it. So if that cauliflower came in a bag, you paid for the bag and you paid for every single thing on the inside of it. So if you own a restaurant and you're throwing the leaves away or the stems, the stalks away, you can't get that money back. But the cost of that cauliflower starts to go up more and more and more the less and less and less that you use. So if you're not compensating that, if you can't charge for that, you're going to lose money every time. So you always have to think about that. And then something I don't think we talked about yet, I just want to bring up is cross-utilization on a menu. So when you think about the menu that you want to have, you want to own a food truck or a fine dining restaurant, a cafe, whatever you want to own, you never order something unless you can use the entire thing in that one item and you're going to sell it. So sometimes you'll have bell peppers in an omelet maybe, and then maybe you have red pepper coulis on a lunch item. So you're cross-utilizing it. You can make sure you can use the scraps of those vegetables or meat, whole fish, whatever it is for something else. So whenever you think about menu development, if you have one item, think about what else could that go into if it had to. Could it be a garnish? Could it be a sauce? Could it be a pickle? Could you freeze it? We're talking about freezing. Whatever, something else you can do with it though, because you have to maximize what you pay for.
%, Chef. Thank you. So again, we come down to food cost, right? Maximizing that. What is your cost? Okay. Expand on your produce, okay, and your product. Turn everything that is a potential waste into a potential gain. Okay. We're not saying use old stuff, but what do you do with leftover bread? Anybody? Leftover bread?
Croutons.
Oh, bread pudding, stuffing. Yeah. All right. This is what I'm talking about. Yes, exactly. Croutons. Yes. Utilization. Exactly. So the same thing that you would do with leftover stale bread, same stuff you do with the other things, as long as it is still viable, edible, and usable. All right. Cool. Breadcrumbs. Yeah. Love it. Awesome. Cool. All right. Well, who's ready to roll on to preservation week? We are starting it up. We're gonna get into it the next two weeks about preservation. But this week we are gonna be talking about pickling and drying. What else might we be doing? Ooh, jamming, preserves, right? Canning, the overall term. Making fermented products. Who can think about, let's, since we've got the ball rolling, what's a fermented product? Give me an example that you can find out at the grocery store. Kimchi, yeah, awesome. What else?
Sauerkraut.
Sauerkraut, yeah, what else? Pickles. Pickles can be fermented. Kombucha.
Okra.
Okra can be fermented. Yeah, you're right. Vegetables, totally.
Beer.
Wine, yeah. What else?
Kelly got the good one.
Where?
Wine.
Yep, exactly. Beer? I think I heard beer. I think that might have been Francisco, no? Or Lorenzo, sorry. Hi, you guys are actually right next to each other.
I said beer too.
All right. Yeah, you guys are on. What other things are fermented? Any like dairy beverage product?
Yeah.
Yeast? What?
Mushroom.
Sorry?
Kombucha.
Kombucha? Yep. Yogurt. That's what I was looking for. Yes, Andrea, yogurt and the whole body of drinkable thin dairy products like kefir and things like that, right? All right, cool. So we got an idea and a start base on things that can be fermented, right? How long do we think that's been going on? Fermentation of products.
Couple thousand years.
That's a good guess. Yeah, forever. Yeah, both of those basically, yep, you got it. All right. Forever and a couple thousand years. The only reason why we all here is because we've been eating fermented products, okay? So this is about sustainability. How do you survive? All right, farm to table. It goes back to the natural callings of, hey, what do we have around us? How can we make that last? We have too much milk right now, right? The cow just had calves, and now we've got all this extra milk. What are we going to do with it? We can't consume all this milk. We can't make enough X, Y, and Z. All right, transform. Okay, that pail sat out too long. Now we started fermenting. We've got yogurt. Okay, what else? All right, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Kimchi buried in ceramic vessels underground during the months so it could cure and be ready for winter so that they could have a nutritious food source, right? Fermentation leads to probiotics. Probiotics are good bacteria. Now, this is something that's important to talk about, right? There's good bacteria, there's bad bacteria. If you do not ferment properly, you can get contamination, all right? So, hygiene, very important. Now you think, oh, wait, but way back then, did they even have hygiene? Well, guess what? They were doing the right balance of pH, right? Which is like acidity, all right? Salt or removing oxygen. Okay, that's how we start curing. What spoils food? Air. Yep. What else?
Bad bacteria and air, which the air contains bad bacteria.
Yeah, bacteria, air. What else?
Humidity.
Humidity. Yeah, moisture. All right. What else? Something really important.
Cross-contamination.
Cross-contamination. Yes, definitely. Another one.
Heat.
Did I hear heat?
Hot temperature.
High temperature. Yeah, exactly. Remember, what's that temperature danger zone? Bacteria grows in there rapidly in that temperature danger zone, right? Temperature, oxygen, bacteria, moisture, acidity. All of these things are really important when we're talking about pickling, canning, fermenting. Preservation. You need to reduce the chance of anything becoming spoiled. That is the whole goal of this, right? So, not cleaning hands. Yeah, of course, hygiene. All right. So, remember, when you go back, way back to CU101, start thinking about that temperature danger zone. Catch it. All right. Let's take a look, because this week it is all about preservation. One sec. All right, cool. Obviously, here we are. Nothing new. We've got week 9, right? Got your research materials. Got a video on canning. Now, it is important to watch this to understand the true process of canning. The methods that you're going to be using for making, whether you choose the preserves or the pickles, you do not, in this situation, need to can, all right, because you're going to be refrigerating them afterwards. However, to properly can a food for long-term shelf-stable use, all right, and life, you need to can. You can you do the can? No, you cannot do the can. All right, if you do not do the can. I know that sounds crazy, but listen, you basically, if you want to preserve something for long term, there are methods of canning, all right? Watch canning, you're gonna figure it out. You have to boil, you have to sterilize, right? All things that we were talking about, sanitary, right? Boiling. is also heat. All right. Then you have to reseal. So check that out and get up to date on that. If you want to, you can. There are many recipes out there that will show you exactly how to actually can, in addition to making a recipe that works with that. These recipes do not. So you do have to choose 2 of these, all right? 2 of the following, which, here you go. You've got dried apples, pickled vegetables, strawberry preserves, or fresh sauerkraut. This is a 3-day process, so do plan ahead if you want this, all right? Your photo requirements are gonna be a little bit different. It is, however, a very inexpensive, cost efficient, and simple recipe, as long as you get the basics correct, which would be measuring, all right? And pull this up first because I think this is the most important to cover. You can obviously reduce this if you need to get just like 1 head of cabbage, easy reduction there, right? Most important thing here is, okay, to trim and discard, like Chef was talking about, use that, whatever other viable parts that you can in other applications. And quarter head, finally shred. Here we go. Here's the big one, number 4, weigh the cabbage, all right? Divide the weight by 40 to get the weight of salt needed, all right? That's the ratio, 1 to 40. All right. So measure that. We're going to have pictures showing us that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then we want to see that process. Okay. Here's another important factor. We're going to jump down to number 7, 60 degrees Fahrenheit. If it's too cold or if it's too warm, what do we have in play again? Anybody?
Growth.
I couldn't hear you.
Bacteria growth.
Bacteria growth, yeah, or lack thereof, right? Temperature, all right? So the temperature is important. You don't want it to be too hot because it's gonna go too cold, it's not gonna happen. So find your right area. Could be in the attic, the basement, depending upon where you live, many places, all right? All right, so pulling that up really quickly, just wanna show you this, which is for your photo requirements. As you can see, fermented sauerkraut, there are required photos, all right, after 24 to 48 hours. This is all based on the recipe and the product after 72 hours. You're gonna see a noticeable difference, okay? And if you don't, we wanna make sure that you're talking about that in the narrative. Hey, I didn't see the cabbage is becoming softer. I didn't notice anything different. There were no bubbles, right? This is an observation process. So it's a 3-day process. It's kind of cool. You're doing a little bit of science, a little bit of magic. See if it happens. If it doesn't, put that in your narrative. Talk about why it's not happening. What do you think went wrong? Was it the temperature? Did you weigh improperly? All right. Does anybody have any questions about that? Nope. All right. Cool. All right. Sorry. Rest of your options for this week. Drying. All right. Apples. Easy. Key here, thinly slice. If you have uneven cuts here, like wedges, that bottom part's gonna get cooked and dried out. This point's still gonna be moist. All right. Thin, even slices. That's the goal there. All right. Otherwise, this is really straightforward, simple. It's going to take 5 to 8 hours. All right. Low setting, slow, no dehydrators allowed. Do it in your oven. All right. Not every restaurant's going to have a dehydrator on hand. And if you want to do dehydrated tomatoes, even semi-dehydrated tomatoes or anything, you're going to have to put that on a low setting, set it overnight, let it go, right? Or during the day. Pickled vegetables. This is similar to the recipe that you made in CU222. But have at it. You do not need to necessarily use cucumbers, all right? Other vegetables. Check out their texture. What's going to work? What's going to be good? What's in season? How do you do this? All right. Also, make sure you're tasting and observing throughout this. Give us feedback on that narrative. Did you taste it when it was fresh out? Like once you had just put that brine over there, and then 24 hours later, did you notice anything in the texture? Did you notice anything in the taste? Did it absorb anything? Maybe you make it 4 days before the due date and you see how that develops. There are going to be slight differences because what happens with the pickle? Does anybody know what happens with pickles?
They can get mushy over time.
Yeah, great. Yeah, they can get mushy over time. Definitely, Patrick. Dawn? You're muted, Dawn. You got to get quicker on the microphone. You're
Am I
on.
there?
Yeah.
Okay. I've pickled a lot of pickles before, and dilly beans was a favorite thing of mine too, which they withstand the pickling process a lot better than a cucumber does.
Okay, so why do you think a dilly bean withstands the processing of pickling better than a cucumber?
Well, with the cucumbers, I've always speared them, so they lost the outer covering, which would make them become softer in texture. And with the dilly bean, there's, I would get the Bush's string beans. And also, I noticed on the video that I watched, they hardly had anything in the jar. It's better to have the jar stuffed full as possibly as you can before you put the brine into there, because then there's not as much liquid for the amount of vegetable.
Yeah, you're definitely right. You want to maximize your pickling process and the actual shelf space that you're taking up. You want to put as much product as you can in that jar. But I want to go back to this comment about the dilly bean versus the cucumber. You bring up two important parts. One, Dawn said she cut the cucumbers into spears. All right. Now, what happens if you slice it really thinly? What increases there? Instead of spears, now we have lots of thin, round slices.
The saturation level of each slice.
Saturation level, and that's because of the surface area. Your exposed area has increased. Okay? So now you have more spots where that juice, that brine can get in. If you put a whole pickle in there, what would that be like, right? Think about how it affects it, right? The larger your cut, the longer it's going to take for that brine, etc., to soak in, right? If you have a big piece, just like a marinade on a big piece of meat, or thinly sliced pieces of meat, okay? Vegetables and meat have similarities. They have parallels, okay? So what else? Who's ever been to a really good deli where they're making sandwiches, usually a Jewish deli? They got a barrel of different types of pickles. Anybody?
Yes, I have been to a couple different ones.
Okay. And what type of pickles do they have?
Well, they had a traditional dill, they had a spicy dill, and normally a sweet.
Okay. Did they have any old or new ones where the new were bright green and the old were that army green?
Not on the visuals aspect as a customer looking at them.
Okay.
Prepped and ready to go. But yeah, they said they did their own pickles and made them from scratch. So I imagine they had some form of barrel or jars with, the preserving, technique going in place.
Definitely. All right. Well, so oftentimes you will also see a new pickle versus an old pickle. And that's what I'm trying to get at here, which is maturation. There's a maturation process, okay, a time period. So when you increase surface level, right, you're going to get a faster end product, okay? So if I slice that cucumber really thinly and I put it in a brine, it's going to start to become more pickle-like faster than a big pickle, right? Or faster than a spear, right? Or if you have a huge, big head of cauliflower, a floret that you've put in there, how you prepare it and how much surface area is going to affect how quickly that acid, right, that brine, is getting into that vegetable and changing the texture. Okay. So If you try a pickle at 24 hours versus 48 hours versus a week, different textures the entire time.
I have noticed though, buying a pickle spear versus a whole pickle, there's definitely a difference in the color. It's much darker of a green, turning almost to a brownish color, brownish tinge to a whole pickle versus the spears because of that saturation factor and allowing it to sit.
Yeah, so you're gonna see a definite change in color. All right. So, not to mention texture. All right, that's really important. When you are maintaining pickle freshness, right, you have to think about what you're doing. Are you doing a quick pickle? Do you want just pickled red onions really quick on the fly, and you need to hit with some acid like vinegar and a little bit of sugar and a little bit of salt and cure that in 45 minutes, right? That's one type of texture you're going to get. You're still making a variation of a pickle, all right? Is it brining it? Is it heating any other liquid? No, but you are still making a type of a pickle, all right? So there are many different levels of how you pickle. All right, I want you to know that going into this project because this recipe is going to vary from many other pickle recipes. All right, jams. Who's ever made preserves? Or a jam or a marmalade? I see Sandra making pickled radishes, but Sandra, you're making everything, and she's got a huge garden. I'm ready to move in. All right, Sandra's made jelly. Nicole, what have you made? Which one? Oh, from wild grapes. Nice, Sandra. All right, jam. All right, so we've got a jelly and jam. Does anybody know what is really important? I'm going to pull up the recipe, and you tell me what you think is going to be really important in. Ooh, a choke cherry jam. Awesome. Tell me what you think is important in. Sorry, one second. Making. There we go. Jams or jellies of this nature. Here's the recipe. Preserves. What do we think is important?
Pectin.
Pectin. Yep, exactly. What is pectin?
It's a thickener.
A thickener. Yep, you're right. What else?
Is it that Cerdo stuff? Cerdo?
It's a product of bone marrow.
Product of bone marrow. I couldn't hear whoever spoke before. I couldn't understand what you were saying. Sorry.
Gelatin.
Gelatin.
I said Cerdo. Use Cerdo for that?
I don't know. I'm sorry. I can't. Chef, can you understand what?
At first, I thought he said sucrose, and then last time I thought he said Certo.
Yeah. If you can put it in the chat, that would be awesome because I just can't hear what you're saying.
Certo. Certo.
I'm not sure, but it might be. I can check that out. But essentially, what we're talking about are properties of the fruit. All right. So I'm going to pull this up to you up for you right now. All right.
It is. There is pectin in Certo.
Okay. Is Certo a fruit?
It's a product.
A product. Okay,
It
Chef,
is.
can you show us what it is?
I can. It's a little bit interesting of one for class.
Well, hey, if we're talking about pectin, let's talk about pectin.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. So, Certo Sure Gel is a detox method.
Ah,
Also used to pass a drug test, it appears.
okay.
But it does say Certo is the brand name of a type of fruit pectin commonly used for this method, hence the name. Certo is used to make jam, jelly, and more. So it is a brand name of pectin. So
Yeah, all right. So yeah, you're exactly right. Certo is pectin. So Without pectin, though, this is what's really important, is that certain jams and jellies will not form without it. Who's ever looked at the back of your jar of jam or jelly? What are the ingredients? Is it just fruit and sugar?
I typically buy preserves, so it has the whole fruit with some sugars in it and not too much extra. I know if you go to jellies, it does convert to more of the high corn flours, the corn sugars, which is not as nutritional.
All right. Yeah. So different styles of jamming, gelling, preserving. All right. Taking fruits and either adding sugar and or acid and pectin. All right, to form a specific texture is what we're talking about, right? So depending upon jam or jelly or preserve or marmalade, you're going to have different variations of this. We're talking about pectin being a thickener, essentially, right? We heard a lot of people saying gelatin or thickener, all that. Pectin is a type of starch, all right? It gives them structure, just like other proteins can give structure, right? Like gelatin, right? Collagen that breaks down. These things give structure, all right? Gives body. So without that pectin, that jam or jelly would be more like liquid, all right? It gives structure, it builds it, allows it to be firm and set as opposed to loose, all right? You know that you have not cooked your jam or jelly correctly, okay, or preserved when it is running. That means you're missing some big component, whether it's more sugar, pectin, or acid. Okay, if it is loose, okay, you don't have a full set. Lorenzo's asking about cornstarch. Cornstarch, what is cornstarch? How would that be a parallel to pectin?
You can use it as a thickener, but it's going to make it cloudy.
You can use it as a thickener, right? So pectin, talking about a starch, thickener, adding structure, right? Yeah. So could you? Yeah, of course.
And if
But
it was cornstarch, it would distort the flavor.
yeah, it could lead to slightly off flavor. It can lead to just being from translucent to opaque. It could also, if you really mess up, you could change the mouthfeel, the texture. All right. More importantly, that mouthfeel. Right. Cornstarch used properly can really work. Improperly can be really a downside. Right. You get this tackiness when it's excessively used, or even when it's moderately used at times, depending upon how far you're reducing your actual product that is the cornstarch is in. All right. But yes, as a shortcut method, you certainly can. It will bind and seize up a lot quicker. So right now, what I want to show you guys is this list. Here we go. Pectin concentrations in fruit and vegetables. All right. So group 1, right here. If not overripe, it has enough pectin and natural acid to actually form that gel formation with only added sugar. So you don't have to worry about adding a lot of acid or pectin to that. So if you look at that list, right, that's what we're looking at. All right. Group 2. You're going to either need acid or pectin. You could need a little bit of both in more moderate quantities, but you're going to need one of the other. All right. And then group 3, always need acid and pectin. So as you can see, here we go. We've got that recipe up here. Strawberries. Boom. Falls into this group 3. So if you do not have access to fresh strawberries, which they're not going to be the best because they're not in season, frozen strawberries could be a good option, right? If neither one of those are an option, choose something from group 3, as these will require both pectin and acid. All right. So there's your list. What's in season? Well, pears are relatively in season. Winter, it's not. Grapefruit definitely is. Citrus. Okay, so if you want to do something that's a little bit more approachable, go for it. Let's see. All right, so we've covered pretty much everything. Dried apples, quick and easy. Currently, does anybody have any questions regarding what we've covered? No? All right. So, Chef, was there anything that we needed to talk about in regards to any other photo requirements or anything?
The labeling and dating, if you want to show that.
Yeah.
Also, if you want to put that group 3 link in the chat too.
Totally.
Real quick.
Yeah, on it.
So while Chef is doing that, she has this page up. See on pickled vegetables, fruit preserves, and then on the bottom of sauerkraut. For all the steps, it says labeled with contents and date. So everybody is going to be on their externship very soon. With that, everything's going to have to be labeled and dated. I think we talked about it a little bit before, but if you open up a dressing, they don't make handmade dressings, you're going to have to label and date it. If you're switching over your station at nighttime, flipping the pans, you're going to have to label and date it. Everything for the health inspection needs to be labeled and dated. We're going to do the same thing here. When we preserve something, we're going to let it, the idea is to let it sit for a lot longer than it would in its fresh state because we're preserving. So if you did the whole proper canning method, you did something like a pickle or a strawberry, you could have that strawberry preserve through the whole process. It could sit for like 2 years on a shelf. So think about in a restaurant setting, how many people walked into the dry storage shelf? How many products went in and out of that? If the health inspector came in and they said, this isn't labeled and dated, when was this made? You can't answer them, I think maybe like 16, 18 months ago, I'm not sure. So we want to start to practice that now, but even more so on things that we would like to ideally sit a lot longer than the fresh date. So that is on the everything but on the apples, please. The dried apples.
I actually have a few questions about the externship. Considering I do work full time in a restaurant with a full line, I'm the saute and charbroil chef. I do help expedite, run the wheel, and I also work the flat top at times. I typically don't do the fryer. So with the externship and everything else, how do I get credit for that when I'm already working in the situation?
Okay. I can send you the phone number and email address to Career Services. Actually, I can put that in the chat right now. Give me 1 second. But this is going to be really beneficial to everybody if you have questions about what are the requirements? How can I work my job and get externship? There's some things that would have to be approved, but that's a huge possibility, right? If your current job would take you on as an extern while you still work, that's the best possibility of options, right? Excuse me, sorry, I just want to get this put in there. That's what you want. I mean, that would be ideal, right? And if that's approved and you have a manager who's overseeing and watching your whole progress of your externship, you should be good to go. I would reach out directly, anybody who's out there that has questions about externship. Again, glad you brought that up, Project. Get the ball rolling, right? You've got one more class after this, and then you plug on into externship. So contact Career Services. Find out what's required. Can you work at the places you're already working? Hey, I live in a small town. I don't know what's going on. I don't have a lot of places. What's okay? All right, reach out, get that ball moving, and let's be proactive on that. All
Yes.
right.
I definitely live in a small town, but currently the chef I work under, later on this year, she's going to be involved in Top Chef for
Great.
part of Arizona. So like she is, established chef and cook, but not notarized, but she's trying to get notarized in a sense.
You should, hey, Patrick, you should be fine. I would just run that really just by career services and then by your chef, get all the details, the nitty gritty, and get it locked and loaded, and you're good to go. I mean, a chef doesn't have to, of a restaurant doesn't have to have, this might be news to everybody, but a chef doesn't have to have a degree, all right? Yes, is it extremely beneficial? 1,000%. But just because you don't have a degree and you run an establishment doesn't mean you're less qualified, right? Chefs who have multiple years of experience know how to run an establishment, and that is all that matters. So at the end of the day, if you're working for a place and the externship can be approved, then you're good to go. Chef doesn't have to have, a Top Chef appearance or
Okay, right.
yeah, you're fine. It's really about what you want to do and what you want to pursue. So,
Well, just like one of my main coworkers who trained me at this position I'm at as a saute chef, he has 30 years of experience.
awesome.
He left the field and came back into being in the kitchen because he realized that was his passion. Like he got burned out and he left and then came back realizing that, okay, yeah, no, this is where I need to be. And that's the gentleman I've been training from as a saute chef.
Awesome. Awesome. I mean, you're in a great situation to learn. That's how we all really learn, right? By watching others and learning from others. That's the only way, right? You can study as many books, but watching and seeing and doing is how we learn. So I would say keep following on with that and get in contact with career services as soon as possible and make sure that you can get that all set up and you'd be good to go. And if you have any other questions, please just message me directly and I can steer you in the right direction, Patrick. All right. Also, class, one other thing that's really important, which is makeups. All right. We're getting into, week 9. All right. You're very welcome, Patrick. You're in week 9. Don't wait. We got less than 3 weeks left. So stay on top of everything. Keep pushing. You want to finish this course solid and strong. If you have questions or issues, just reach out. I'm going to be reaching out to all of you as well regarding your current grade status. So I'm coming knocking. Watch out. I'm just kidding. Chef Greg has been telling me all the down low. So I know the dirt. No, I'm kidding, guys and girls. Everybody keep up the awesome work. Keep pushing. Let's finish strong. There are, just a heads up, slight changes to week 11 and week 12. So do not plow ahead quite yet to week 11 and 12. There are going to be some slight modifications that will be taking place this week. So hold your horses on that. Other than that, Chef, anything else that you want to talk about?
No, I think we covered everything.
All right, rock and roll. Next week, more on preservation. Take care, and thank you all. Ciao.
Thank you, everybody.